Hi everyone, welcome back to the Talk Show. I'm Sean and I'm with Ikwan and Nikhil. Today we're going to be talking about personal finance.
But before we begin, here's a message from our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by Sharkbyte, a PC gaming studio that helps you build your dream PC and provides PC solutions to you.
If you're in need of a new gaming rig, or even need to upgrade your parts to the latest ones at competitive prices, do check them out. They are located in SS15 and open for deliveries throughout this MCO.
I have no financial background. I have no idea what to do with my money, right? And when I started working, I had a bit of spare cash lying around. I had an income, right? But again, I literally had no idea what to do with it. People told me to invest. People told me to save my money. I tried looking for resources online, books, podcasts about personal finance. But there was so much information. It was extremely daunting. I was never taught anything in school. I was never taught anything by anyone. So it was a very complicated experience for me.
Yep.
Right? So I'm just going to let Nikhil kick it off for us.
Okay, so a big disclaimer. Neither one of us here are any sort of financial advisors.
Yep.
We are just sharing with you what we think and what we do. Okay? So a lot of people, they want to get into investing. There's a big problem there. That shouldn't be the first step of your financial planning. Okay? There are steps to take before you actually start investing. Okay, the first one is obviously setting out your goals. What do you want to achieve? Do you want your retirement funds to be secured? Do you want to grow your assets? Do you want to keep savings? What do you want? So once you've answered yourselves that, then I'll share you some of the practices I, do, and maybe what other people should do. But, this is not financial advice, yeah? Disclaimer, FYI. So, first and foremost, you need to have about 3 to 6 months of your salary as an emergency savings in the event that you do get fired or you do get let go. And then the next one, the more important one, is you need health insurance because, I know maybe if you're working, your company pays for it, but there's always a limit. You need a proper full-out health insurance plan for you in case touch wood lah. That's what insurance is about. If you get a heart attack, if you get a stroke, an injury, death, whatnot, you need to be covered. And then it'll be, my opinion, it'll be great to have life insurance on top of that. And this is to secure your premium rates because if you subscribe to a life insurance plan now, your premiums stay constant for the rest of your life. If you do it when you get older, your premiums increase. Before investing, I would also recommend that you track your expenditure. Do you know how much money you spend a month on food? It's good to know how much you spend on food, how much you spend on electronics, how much you set aside for traveling, how much you set aside for any stuff you want to get. So you need to know your own, statistics. How much do you spend? How much of your salary do you keep? Where does that money go when you keep it?
Yeah, I think building up to your point, again, disclaimer, no sort of expertise, but I feel like I do check and balance here and there. So like building up to your point, it's about, I like the point about habits and knowing the percentages. So see what I do, like just now you asked me how much do I spend on food, I'm not so sure. But what I do to shield that is that I have X% for savings, X% for food and leisure, X% for any fixed costs that I have, and the rest would be for like anything lah. So if you compartmentalize your income, branch it out according to your habits, like you said just now, and you sort of could get through that 3 to 6 months where then you have enough spare cash.
Yep.
Then you can do something.
Yep.
Like that makes more sense.
That is financial planning.
Yeah, that makes really.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes more sense for you to start looking for other products, And I think there are some apps that already started doing this. Maybank has MAE, right?
Yeah.
Where you can track your spending.
Yeah, I use a third-party one. I don't.
Yeah.
But
and there are plenty of apps that have this, and you can even, if you are Rajin, you can go on Excel and do it on your own. But who has the time for that?
Yep.
And also the only context that I can give, like the best part is that anytime I play video games, right, I have surplus of money to buy weapons and equipment armor. So I think I'm better than everyone at financial planning.
All right.
By that one statement only.
Okay. It's clear he's not a financial advisor, guys. Sean.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point, right? Because anytime someone thinks about what do I do with my money, it's always invest, right? No one ever talks about what to do before that, right? There's so many things you need to do to secure yourself before even thinking about investments. So very good points there. I think once you've done all that, what would you do then with your investments?
Okay, so now we are moving into investments.
Yeah.
What I'll do is you need to know what your own risk reward appetite is. How much can you stand to lose? Can you lose 50% of your money over the course of a year? You don't know. So I will tell you in increasing amounts of risk, what the products are that you can do. The first and foremost is obviously keeping spare cash in your savings account. When you get into investing, the one objective you want to achieve is to beat the rate of inflation every year so your money doesn't devalue. Yes. And inflation, if on average is 2%, keeping it in your savings account will, you're losing out on inflation. You're losing money. If you don't invest and if you keep your money in your savings account only, you're losing money over the year. Then we go into fixed deposits. Fixed deposits are long-term deposits, usually ranges from like 6 months to X amount of years, depending on which bank you go. And they always tend to pay you more than what inflation is. Rates change every now and then, so you need to be wary of that. And they guarantee you this payment as long as you don't withdraw your money. And then we go into, mutual funds. Okay, mutual funds, I will talk about equity and bonds into this. Mutual funds is just someone investing your money. So let's say you want to buy Tesla shares. You can't buy Tesla shares. It's too expensive. So what a guy who runs a mutual fund does is that he takes everyone's deposits and now he has a hill of money and he can actually buy Tesla shares. And depending on how much you put in that, he will pay you out returns based on your weightage. So a mutual fund allows individual investors to pool their money together and they can buy more expensive assets like equity and bonds. And then you can get into the investment of bonds. With bonds, you are lending money to a company, to a government, to a municipal, etc. And they will use that money usually for capital expenditure or whatnot. And then they'll pay you back in interest. They call that a coupon rate. Okay. And because bonds are calculated differently from your regular investments, you want to look at the yield it gives you. You don't want to look at the coupon rate. You want to look at the yield, which is ultimately your rate of return. Yes. And bonds, depending on your preference, you can pick riskier bonds. You can pick less risky bonds. But just keep in mind, companies pay off their bondholders before they pay off their equity holders. So you know that there is some form of security there. Moving on, obviously the next one would be equity. Equity is a bit riskier. Stocks, shares, real estate investment trusts, you've seen a lot of this. Yeah. They, you know what shares are. You buy it. If the company does well, if the market thinks that there's potential growth, it goes up. You make money off that. But you can also make money off dividends. So there's another form of that. But you can lose your money in equity more than you can in bonds. So after equity, we go into retirement funds. They are ultimately mutual funds where you only withdraw when you're retired. And I may be wrong with this, but I would probably place property at the most risky one because there is an introduction of tax if you sell off property within a certain amount of years. And there's no tax on any of the other items. Malaysia doesn't tax your capital gains. Yeah. So you can make 1 billion ringgit of equity and you don't need to get taxed for that. So with this list, you should know where your risk and your reward preference are. If you can take the risk, go for it. My sense, we all live in comfortable families. We can take additional risk if you want to. So it just depends on what you want, and then you pick of what you want to invest in. Ikwan?
Yeah, I think you covered most of the practical part of investing, right? Like, we can call you Mr. Practical over here, and we can call me Mr. Conceptual because I want to feel like I talk like I'm smart, but I'm not, That's the whole idea of this talk show, actually. But being a bit more serious, right? Like, I think moving into investment, the first two things that you've touched is risk return, identifying your risk, your appetite. Some people are, because I've met some people who are really like aggressive risk takers. Yeah. Then they go into like stocks. Mm-hmm. And it fluctuates crazy. They get like a high out of it. Yeah. And it's almost close to gambling. Right? Yeah. But it's what they want, and they are able to take the risk.
Yep.
And so lower risk, like you're going into, maybe just depending on EPF and your fixed deposits. Yeah, it's fine. But identifying it is very important, because you need to set your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't, you see someone earning 50% over a year in stocks, those gurus.
Yeah.
It's fair that they've made that money. Right?
Yeah.
But you should understand, okay, the context behind it. They're more skilled. It's about timing, and they know that they are taking that risk.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think one important thing about investing is expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding risk reward via that route. Then you can set your expectations, and know that just because someone made 50%, the guy next to you make 50%. You're not guaranteed that amount of money.
Yeah.
It's actually guaranteed the lopside of it, minus 50% as well.
Right.
Yeah. So you got to take that into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
And Nikhil has listed out from lowest risk to highest risk. And another thing is the horizon.
Yep.
And like when you think about horizon, think about your life. Like, what are you investing for?
Right.
Like, for example, like I like to break down my investing into plans. So like now, I'm a attractive single man, getting into my mid-20s. So what am I looking for? I'm trying to build my wealth to a certain point where then when I reach my mid-30s or early 30s, I could venture out into more risk, like you've listed on the risk, more risky investments, and make good money out of it. And I also through that time, I've also gathered more information about all these assets, and that will increase the effectiveness of my investment. You're not just throwing money around, essentially.
Right.
And I think since you've covered most of the items, I think like having that kind of horizon plan where you sort of change, and you have to understand risk appetite also changes when you have a kid.
Yeah, when you buy a house, when you buy a new car.
Yeah. When life goes on, everything changes. It's all these variables are moving.
Yep.
And as long as you keep track of like your objective and your direction of why you're investing, what are you investing for, then it's fine. Like retirement funds are a bit, quite direct lah. Like you're investing so that when you're done, you have a certain amount of money.
Yeah, you'll never know if your EPF will be enough.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you had life insurance as you planned your finances earlier, you might not need a retirement fund. But it's always good to have a retirement, an extra EPF lying around somewhere. Just to sum things up, it's not the question about how to invest my money. It's a question about what should I do before I get into investing money.
Right.
And then when you actually get into investing your money, know what your risk appetite is and know how long you want to hold these things for. And just make sure that you beat the annual inflation rate.
Yeah, just going back again, it's about knowing what you want to do,
right?
And making sure don't just like you always like you go. I mean nowadays we don't go to Mama, right? But when you go to Mama store with your friend and you listen to this guy, he already started a business, and you're like, damn, bro, what am I doing with my money, right?
Yeah.
And you feel that kind of you feel that intimidation. You feel like, oh shit, I need to just throw my money somewhere. I think just take a step back and understand that, go through the proper steps, and make sure at least at the top down of things you understand. Okay, this is where my money goes. Okay, I want to buy a car in 5 years. Save this amount, and then realize that return, buy a car or whatever.
Yeah.
And goals are very important. I feel like it makes your investment. It keeps you there. Like at least you don't throw money and then you're just like whatever, I'm gonna get return.
Right.
But if you want to get a house in 5 years, you're like, okay, I need to beat the inflation rate. I need to beat it way more to get my house in 5 years. So it keeps you there. And making sure your goals and everything are aligned. Yeah. You get there.
Just remember, all of these investment goals won't make you wealthier, won't secure your retirement if your basics of financial planning aren't there.
Right.
If you're so concerned about investing, I'll put X amount into this every year, but you still don't have your base, the base lah, the foundation, bro, foundation thing. If the foundation thing not there, man, investment return good, you won't get good things. You need good foundation.
I can't make that exit.
Yes.